Hey everybody at the Pain Free Blueprint. It's Ryan and I, Michal, coming to you today to talk about structural stacking or different structural postures or structural positions and the different kinds of problems that we have and patterns that we have and where the problems are coming from. So what we're all about in this group is putting the power back in your hands, teaching you guys how to self-adjust so that you don't need ongoing chiropractic, massage, physical therapy, personal training, what have you, to keep yourselves well, to keep yourselves pain-free. And also in the process of learning your own body's blueprint, which means what your body's communicating to you and how to give it what it needs, and do that for yourself for the rest of your life. Part of that as a side effect is that you eliminate chronic pain and you eliminate these different problems that you guys are experiencing. And the problem isn't the symptom. The problem is these root causes that we're teaching you in the group. And that's why this works. And that's why we're so passionate about teaching you. So we've got about 30 years of experience between Ryan and I, me on internal medicine and neuroemotional healing, autoimmunity, things of that nature. And Ryan is an amazing biomechanics expert. I have sought his expertise for years and years and years. We've known each other about 4 years. I've been working together in that time because I knew that there had to be a way to do this yourself, to adjust yourself. And nobody that I was asking was giving me good answers. And so he's got the answers and it works. It's worked in my life and countless others. So Ryan, take it away. What are the different postural positions or problems that people have? The most common ones anyway.
Yeah, certainly. This is a very important question because what it does is it shows whoever's watching the different kind of implications that come with different types of postural adaptation. So when people think of poor posture, they, first thing that comes to most people's mind is, oh, slouched shoulders, forward head, right? But that's just one of multiple different types of postural distortions that can happen. Now, remember, our body is going to adapt to the environment that it's most consistently in, right? So, if we're, if we work a desk job, we're most likely going to have that kind of position. If you're a woman, who's walking around in heels a lot, right? That can lead to other postural distortions. So I found this really cool little diagram that I want to show you guys to kind of give you a little bit of insight into, and it's kind of a funny one too. They have funny little names here. I like this. Let's see here. Okay, so look at all these different postural distortions, right? So let's look at goose, right? That's a good example of somebody who's wearing, say, heels all day long, right? And this is called a hyperlordosis. So the lordosis is the lumbar curve. That's what that's called. Now, if I have a hyperlordosis, that means I have too much of a curvature. But if I am like, let's say like nosy is a good example, it doesn't have much of a lumbar curve. It's instead your tailbone is kind of tucked under you. That is called a hypolordosis. Now, if we look at the middle one here, you can see the correct posture. And what the difference is between that posture and the rest of these is look at that nice vertical line that is going from head through the foot. And that is that stacking, that structural stacking that we talk about. Whenever we get a deviation away from that vertical alignment, that's when we start to see postural adaptations to that deviation. So again, for the goose, let's say heels, the reason this would be indicative of a heel wearer is the heels are lifted off of the ground. So what does that do to the center of gravity? It pushes you in front of this vertical line. So what do I do? You're obviously not going to let yourself fall flat on your face. So what are you going to do? You're going to hyperextend through the lumbar spine to compensate for that center of gravity moving forward off axis. So this is what's really important, is because every individual, based on the assessments that we do with our clients, is going to determine, okay, are you a hipster? Yeah, I love these. On guard, right? So on guard in particular, I can tell you right now, we've got this hyperlordosis, weak abdomen, right? So there would be an abdominal strengthening component along with, there's too much psoas tension going on there. So there'd be some psoas release with some abdominal. So I can already take a look right now and just tell you exactly where I would start.
Yeah, would you go through that, just the starting point for each one? Because I can already see, my husband at his starting point was nosy. And what I'm getting to as I'm gaining experience with your work, Ryan, over the last little while, every person that starts has an adaptation, and that's where you start, is the posture analysis. And you guys, we've got a great video on that in the group. how to do your own posture analysis. This would be another great follow-up video to that, but go watch that one. But you want to know that if you've got problems, if you've got pain, if you've got recurring misalignments, or injuries that aren't healing, this is relevant for you. You have one of these, or a version of them, and you want to be able to find that, because that's going to be your guide, your blueprint, if you will, to the types of things you need to do to fix it permanently.
Absolutely. And, one I wanted to mention here is this baby on board, right? Because this clearly looks like a man in this picture, right? So it doesn't have to be necessarily an actual baby, but you can see why a huge anterior load on the gut, right? Which is why we're not trying to just, whoever we're working with, just fix your posture. We're trying to get you into a good state of health overall, health and well-being from a holistic standpoint, like the neuro-emotional stuff that McCall does, this, the psychosomatic stuff that's happening. But then also if we've got, excessive body fat in the abdomen, that's obviously going to pull your body into or out of that vertical axis position. So the second one I want to show you guys is I'm going to show you the other type of deviations that we look at, which would be from a posterior and anterior perspective. So let's find that one here. So now this is what I'm looking at. So as you saw in the last one, that was more of a lateral view of posture, which is really telling, right? Which usually tells me, okay, where the hamstrings and the psoas relationship is, where the abdominals and the lumbar relationship is, where the head forward position is. But now when I look here, I start to see more of these lateral deviations side to side, right? So, this would probably be most indicative of some sort of foot pronation problem, right? So, so now I'm able to look at, where do we need tissue release? I can even tell you right here, right? Obviously you can see all these little spots that are lit up, indicating that those are hypertonic tissues. They're really tight and they've adapted to this sort of lateral deviation. So this is something that we would look at or assess with both clients. We want to look, is there foot pronation? Is there forward head posture? Are they are they the nosy type, or or the baby on board, right? So based on that assessment, we work with you as an individual as to what is going to be the perfect combination of postural retraining techniques, of soft tissue release work, of dietary principles, of neuro-emotional problems. So anyway, I know I'm kind of going off on a little tangent here, but what do you think of all that, McCall? Does that answer questions for you, or how do you feel about it?
Well, it's really great because it's, the same root causes that are causing your pain and your problems. It's not a separate root cause from your structural health and your physical pain to your big gut, or your inflammation, or your food allergies, or your autoimmune condition, your thyroid issues. Like, it's the whole picture, to your fear and stress about money, or your relationship problems. It's all together. So I love what you're deviating and talking about in this message is that's what it really looks like to get to the root cause. So it's so clear with your images. And I'd love if you pulled up the first one. I have some questions on the first one.
Certainly.
But it's like, this is a starting point. You have to assess what's going on so you can know what soft tissues to release, which is step one of self-adjusting. But it also points to a lot of other problems, which we have to look at inside the functional medicine world and elsewhere. So I love what you said on guard. You mentioned some starting points. Would you be willing to just go through each one and say like the top 3 starting points for people so they can really see how simple this is? And I love, I keep talking about this, you guys, in the group, but I was afraid to get into this because I thought it'd be too complicated. I thought it'd take too much time. I thought it was over my head. I don't have Ryan's level of training in biomechanics and structural health. I know about it and the impact it has, but I was referred out to that. So what I love about this work is how simple it is. And when you learn the principles, it's like you teach a man to fish, right? Give him a fish versus teach him to fish. So we're teaching you guys to fish, which means you'll just know how forever. And it really is like, when I learn these principles, my eyes open and I'm like, oh, it just makes sense. I just know what to do now. And so that's the difference between chiropractic that might pop you back into place, or massage that might release some of the tension, but I was thinking about this week. Yeah, they got me into proper alignment usually. And then I felt good for, a little while. But nobody retrained my nervous system and my posture and my patterns and my behavior. So I just really got how ridiculous that was. It's a total failing model. It's a scam, kind of. Why you're not actually fixing the problem. You're really just band-aiding and forcing bones back into place against the muscle and the fascia's will, essentially, where you're releasing the fascia, but then you're going out and retraining the fascia to be dysfunctional. So anyway, my little tangent is over. But yeah, I would love to know if you kind of told us the top 3 areas for each one. Like what is the hipster looking at doing, and why is that pattern created?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 2 primary things that, well, I'd say there's probably 4 primary things that I like to look at as an expert in this area. First, I always look at the feet, which we've talked extensively about that. And that really has more of a translation over to the other image that you were seeing with those lateral deviations. The next thing we look at is the hip positioning. When you change the hip positioning, ultimately what's going to happen is the spine is going to follow suit, the head's going to move, right? So it's really difficult to pin down exactly what the primary cause is, whether it's the head or that's why we take kind of a shotgun approach, and we try to get everything working in alignment, or trying to get everything into alignment, right? So I look at the hips, and then I also look at the head, right? And also the rib cage as well, right? But again, the rib cage is going to follow suit with wherever the head's going, or wherever the hips are going. So it's really this synergistic approach that we take to get everything to kind of work together. So like, let's come over, let's take hipster, for example. You can see
that's
him.
a good point, Ryan. If I can just interject, it's like, oh yeah, this really is that simple. If you release all the important soft tissues from head to toe, each and every one of these guys are going to have notice more problems in some areas than others. But from head to toe, you're going to have soft tissue release. From head to toe, then you're going to retrain proper alignment. And then from head to toe, you're going to relearn and strengthen and learn to move. So each of these guys will actually pretty much look the same as far as following their blueprint. I just got how simple that was again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so if we look at hipster, right, you can see, first off, look at the knees with that hyperextension, right? The knees are folding back. And again, it's all compensations for falling out of this vertical alignment that you see here on the green figure. So, with this guy in particular, you're seeing a hypolordosis. So his tailbone's tucked, but he's got this kind of sway thing going on. So with that hypolordosis, again, the body wants to kind of fall back because there's no structural there's not a structure in the lumbar spine that's keeping you stacked over yourself. So what's happening with him is he's leaning back, but again, you're not going to allow yourself to fall flat on the floor. So he created an adaptation by rounding through the thoracic spine to compensate for going, too far backward, right? So, and then you see that accompanied with the head, right? Pushing the head into that position. So with him, I would do, first of all, obviously there's some weight loss that needs to happen there. There would be some significant hamstring release work. There would be glute activation work to get those glutes working, because when you have that hypolordosis, there's a good chance that the glutes aren't really working the way they should. So we need to reactivate those so they can so they can work the way they're supposed to. There would be a lot of abdominal training, trying to get the transverse abdominis activated to get them kind of nice and, keep that structural rigidity that we want kind of in the lumbopelvic area. So there's not a lot of movement going on, but most of all, restoring that lumbar curve. And then looking at those shoulders, those rounded shoulders. I can already tell you right now, pec major, subscapularis. We've got, a number of other medial rotators that are, so just releasing those tissues. Also some release work to the sternocleidomastoid, which we did a video on last week. Kind of releasing those tissues, those being cervical flexors, those get really tight or they become elongated. So trying to retrain the head positioning. So you can see there's a number of different things, but once you understand what those things are, it's really easy to just, because now you have your blueprint, right, as an individual after an assessment. Oh, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z today. And that's going to start moving you versus giving you like everything. Hey, just release this and strengthen this. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's not very time efficient. Like focus on the really, on the stuff that really needs work.
Well,
yeah, so that was just the hipster.
Yeah, sorry, as you're talking, it's this is what I've been to plenty of chiropractors that think that they're the cure to things structural, and no offense against them or any other doctor. That's just their training. That's just their business model. And a lot of them have been helped through chiropractic. So they want to do it they want to help other people, but it's not sustainable. We know that because we have to keep paying them. So we're putting the power in your hands. And as you're talking, Ryan, I'm like, well, this sounds like a chiropractic visit where a chiropractor is looking at your posture analysis or your x-rays and saying, well, here, this is everything we need to do. The cool part about what you're saying, Ryan, is here's everything that you can do to not just fix yourself once, but keep yourself in alignment ongoing for free for the rest of your life, and really maintain function. And what I've experienced is as I release one problem area, other areas just magically improve because you know what I mean? It's like the side effects from that one area being off are now gone, and so I thought I'd be putting in hours and hours every week. I have a goal of what I want to put in, but even when I'm shy of that goal by half, this is still working because it's an ongoing part of a healthy life that I love, and it's enjoyable, it's pleasurable, it feels great. I'm so glad I don't have to drive or schedule time to go do this for myself. I get all the benefits of, it's like do it yourself massage, do it yourself chiropractic. I get all the benefits at any point that I want in my day, on my own. That's just such a gift. So I had to say that.
Certainly. And McCall, can we pause for 1 second, please?
Yep.
All right, we're back, guys. Sorry about that. My battery just shot down to low, and I didn't want the computer dying on us. So anyway, sorry, McCall. Let's go ahead and resume where we were.
No, that's just fine. I was just saying how magical this work is and how empowering it is to be able to adjust yourself. And so that's really a novel message. And that's why I love this so much. And I'm so passionate about it because it's not only life-saving work, and it's not only providing you the same relief that, physical therapy plus massage plus, fascia, what do they call themselves? Fascia release, like myofascial release.
Myofascial release. Yeah.
Chiropractors, personal trainers, like you get all that, but you get it for yourself. And it's really wonderful. So, thanks, Ryan. This was super educational, and it's kind of a part 2 to our first video on assessing your own posture. So go ahead and watch that, you guys, if you want. Ryan also mentioned foot pronation. Go watch that. We've also got a really great video. It's called the most important video in the group so far on what soft tissues to release. That's another great one. So dive in, let us know what you're struggling with, dive into the video modules, and we offer a free breakthrough call. And it really is a breakthrough call for everyone in the group. And if you guys are sick of suffering, sick of paying, tons of money every month, spending tons of time going to other people to kind of get Band-Aid approaches that last short term, or you wait until you are in pain again, and then you have to spend more money. If you're sick of that model, schedule a breakthrough call. I'm going to walk through what your issues and patterns are, what you've tried, what's worked, what's not worked, what's missing, and exactly what you need to address your root causes. And if you're a fit for our work, awesome. I'll walk you through exactly what that process looks like, to have Ryan and I hand hold you through the process that we're teaching, and make sure you're really confident in mastering the material and getting the results of being pain-free. If you're not a fit for our work, that is just fine. It's still a life-changing call. And what I'll do is just provide you resources that will best serve you on your next step forward. So either way, it's not a problem. We love what we do. We love spending time with you guys. So yeah, anything you want to wrap up with, Ryan, before we go?
Nope, that's it. I feel like we covered quite a bit there. So
okay, have a good day, guys.